Hey, good morning, everybody. This is our last week of not being able to meet together. Praise God. Next week, we'll be able to meet together, and I look forward to just a blessed time of being able to worship and to converse in person. I just got done with a run down at the Bear Ponds Greenway. I think that's what it's called. The Greenway. With Fawn from Flex Fitness. They have a running group going where they get together for people who just want to do their first 5K. Whether they're going to walk it, jog it, run it, doesn't matter. They're just helping people to build confidence and to be able to learn the joy of running or walking or just doing anything physical and active. And I just want to be a supportive community for that. And for that, I'm very grateful. And while I was there, we got to have some great conversations. And I also was reminded of a book that I want to share with you. This book is called You Are What You Love. This is what the cover looks like, by James K.A. Smith. I read it not too long ago. But it's the spiritual power of habits, how we form habits and these liturgies of life, the things that we do. The more we do them, even if we don't like doing them, we can learn to love them. And we'll do it without ever knowing. And he shares a great story I relate with so much. And it's running. I've never been a good runner. I've hated running. And so did he. But he knew the benefits were greater than his disdain for physical activity. So he just started doing it. He was terrible at it. It was hard work. But he just did it. And he would he'd get into a routine, and he would just go out, he'd do it. He'd set little goals to try to improve. But one day he missed it. And he learned how much he hated missing his runs. And that's when it kind of dawned on him that he's learned to love running. And it's kind of the same way for me. Like, I'm not good at it, and I would almost say I don't like it, but I love it. It's a weird relationship, but I really love to get out and do it. I get to talk to God. I get to talk to myself. I get to some hippies say the things I wish I could say that I probably shouldn't to some people, because I just, you got to love people, and sometimes you have to force yourself to hold back. I'm human in that regard. But I was just thinking, and it was a windy morning, and I was just thinking about how I love to run, and when I know I'm in a straight shot and there's nothing in my way, I also want to just close my eyes and feel the wind. Especially when it's really windy, and I hate running in the wind. But I'll usually have some worship music going, and I'll like to think of it as like running into the breath of God. It just breathes life into us. And usually I'm sucking air pretty hard, and I need a little bit of life put back in me. And for whatever reason, as I'm just imagining as if I'm running into God's breath, because if you're running into his breath, you gotta be running towards him. Right, his breath comes out, just making sure you got the visual there. And I think of him just breathing life into me. And I literally will get a second wind. I will suddenly start running faster, as if I'm running towards him faster. And I just love that feeling. I really love it. And so I got to talk with Fawn and another guy named Daryl, and we were talking about how one of the things I enjoy about fitness, working out, dieting, if you will, or just striving for better practices. I'm not perfect by any means. Is the fact that our bodies are inseparable from our souls. I did the Greek word study not long with all of you on the word psyche, meaning life, and how life is more than just what you know. It's more than just what you feel. It's more than just what you experience. It's more than just some bodiless apparition of a soul that you call the self. It's everything, all at once, all together. That is your life. That is you. It's who you are. It's what makes up you. And it's inseparable from your body. And so I'm often drawn towards Luke 10:27, where Jesus is asked about what is the greatest commandment, and he says this, and I really hope all of you are familiar with it, but if not, it's Luke 10:27. He says, love the Lord with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So why would Jesus break up heart, soul, strength, and mind? Well, why do that? Because it's the essence of capturing to love God with everything that you are, everything that you have to give. Some of us in this church are wonderful tithers, but we're terrible at Bible study in our own time. We will give our hearts out. We will give and give. We'll throw money in that offering, but I don't got time in my day to study the Bible. I'm working, right? And then there's this I'm back. I had to pause the recording. So that weird break in that intermission there. But there's a sense that we are really good at giving where it's easy for us to give. We love where it's easiest to love. We like to follow the path of least resistance. And that's not what God has called us to do. He's called us to take up our cross, to crucify ourselves, to die daily. Right? So it's a sense of giving up everything that we are. This is entire consecration. And God can't do the work of entire sanctifying, to completely purifying you until you're willing to give up all of you. And that's what this first one is to love God with everything that you are, everything that you have, your heart, your feelings, your love. We love him because he first loved us. How are you to pour out your heart for God in this world and in your daily walk? And with all your soul, whose spirit do we commit ourselves to? When Jesus, I'm thinking Jesus on the cross, he said, Father, into my hands I commit my spirit. Do we consider the realm of the unseen, the unfelt, but that we're aware of, that the spiritual realm, if you will, that we work to shape and to mold and to sculpt into Christ-likeness, to help inform our patterns of life, but also to where we gain that sense of security in the life to come, in the resurrection when Christ comes. And then with all of our strength. Why separate strength from heart and soul and mind? Because it's a very physical thing to think about, right? How do we give our strength? How do we love God with our strength? How about loving God with the body he gave us, by taking care of it? That's not easy for a lot of us, especially in America, where 99% of our food is processed or chemically altered in some way, shape, or form, where we have so much stuff at our fingertips that we really don't even have to go to the grocery store if we don't want to. Maybe here in Evanston we might have to for some things, but think of the movie WALL-E, right? Where we're not far off from just sitting in a chair and getting everything handed to us by computers. We have got to be intentional with strengthening our bodies, both the insides, cardiovascular, our endocrine systems, the whole works, through right eating and being active, using the body God gave us. And we can use it in ways which glorify him. I honestly believe that in the conversations and the relationships I've been able to build, just in the short conversations this morning, that God was glorified in that 1 hour I spent with these fantastic people in our community. And then all of our mind. This is one I personally struggle with myself, especially being a person in academia right now. There's a tendency for me to draw that way, but I see it in a lot of us in this church here in Evanston. We know a lot about Jesus. We know a lot about Scripture. We know a lot about theology. But that's the problem with a lot of America, is we know too much. And what I mean by that is we are so willing, so in need to have knowledge that this knowledge has to be right. That we, because we know it, it is right. And there's nothing wrong with knowing that what you believe to be true. I mean, that's the definition of faith, right? Like, you believe this to be true, and because you know it's true, you believe it. You know, that's the essence of having faith, and it's a great and a wonderful thing. But the problem is if somebody counters or disagrees with what we know to be true, somehow it becomes fighting words. It becomes a debate. And we don't have a lot of healthy conversations sometimes with people who we should be trying to build up in relationship, to encourage and to build up one another. And we argue, or we debate, we deliberate, we have conversations about non-essential things, and we will work so hard to prove that we are right about something. And we just argue about it. And sometimes these arguments are petty, man. It's not enough to like break off a relationship with somebody, a friendship. But if it doesn't stop, it can. It can be so destructive to just not have to know everything, or to not even have to be right. In fact, if we're always right in our minds about something, we will never learn anything, because learning requires a humility and a willingness to be wrong. And so, listen, I don't care if you don't like running. I don't care if you don't like working out. I don't care if you don't like the healthy food. You're supposed to do it. This is how we love God with all of our being. You can read the Bible all day, and it's loving God. It is. But you're falling short by not loving others, by getting out. You're not loving God by tending to the needs of your physical body. You know, read something of the world, and not like 50 Shades of Grey. Don't read that thing, but read poetry. Read a fiction book. I might get controversial, but read a Harry Potter book. You don't want Harry Potter? Read the Gospel of Harry Potter, which is Harry Potter round up an analogy for the Gospel. Get into literature. Read scientific literature if you like that. In fact, you can get on and look up scientific literature and studies in fitness, and suddenly you're going to be an expert. You're going to want to go out and practice what is this research that's been done. But we have to get out of the pews, church. We have to. We can sing wholeheartedly for God. I've heard it. We're great at it. We are. Man, and we know so much about the Bible. We're so good at knowing things. And when we certainly are developing, are taking care, attending to our spiritual needs. I know this, and I see this. And I see many of us striving for strength too. And none of these should be let go. None of them should. We should continue to strive in all of them. But I know for us, for you, there is one of these four you are lacking in because it's not easy and because you don't like it. And I don't care, because God has called you to love him in that way. So do something. Do something for the God who did everything for you. And then love your neighbor. That's the end of it. Love your neighbor as yourself. So when you're tending to your mind and your heart and your soul and your strength, and you because of the love you have for God, you are loving yourself because it's the body God gave you. Now you reciprocate that same love to somebody else. So when we tell each other, I might not want to think about eating that, or here's an alternative you might consider. When we want to woo each other towards a different direction, it's because we want to love each other. And so I'm not looking to woo you in another direction. I'm telling you right now, there's something you're lacking in your life, and you need to go do it. You need to get out and run. But maybe you need to, before church, show up at the Pot Meadows and walk a little bit. But I'm at 15 minutes, and I use Screencast-O-Matic, which cuts me off at 15 minutes. to record for a reason. But in the description, I'm going to pray. So pray with me now.